Hello, guys. How we doing? All right, so I'm going to decided to screencast the solutions for the Chapter 2 quiz. A lot of people did really well, and a lot of people did not do so hot. So I'm going to go over it. If you attended the Zoom, I think that I kind of covered, um, uh, if not all, most of the challenging vocabulary and stuff like that. So as I go through this, we'll kind of talk our way through it. So the first one, you've got the secant, find f prime at pi over 4. So you should have your notes out. The derivative of secant is secant tan. And if you want f prime at pi over 4, that's going to be secant of pi over 4 times tangent of pi over 4. Well, what's that? Well, secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Okay. And so if you have the reciprocal of cosine, you do the reciprocal 1 over cosine of pi over 4 times tangent is sine of pi over 4 over cosine of pi over 4. Okay. Well, what's cosine of pi over 4? Well, pi over 4 is right there. We know that that's root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2 at that angle. And so our cosine value is root 2 over 2. So 1 over root 2 over 2 would be 2 over root 2 times sine and cosine of pi over 4 the same thing. And so that's just 1 for a final answer of 2 over root 2. Okay, so I don't think that there's anything tricky there. If you messed up your unit circle, that would be the only thing. Okay, number 2. I literally did this for you guys in the Zoom. I asked you guys to tell me what f prime of c was. Well, first of all, this is the definition of the derivative at a point right here. The limit as x approaches c of f of x minus f of c over x minus c. So yes, that's correct. This guy's got the x plus h minus f of x over h. That all looks like familiar. It should, but that is not anything unless h is going to 0 here. So the definition of the derivative, you should have your notes out. It says h going to 0. So again, I'm not feeling bad if you miss this, because you should have your notes. This is not a thing. Okay. And then what I said in the Zoom was that, all right, this is the definition, right? The formal definition is the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x over h. And in that Zoom, I literally replaced x with c because it's asking for f prime of c. So if you replace that with a c and with a c, you've got that, which definitely would be the definition of f prime of c. Okay, so that one should have just been picked out straight off of the Zoom. Okay, number 3 gives you a function. Find dy dx, which is just the derivative. I did this one, not this exact problem, but one just like this. We talked about the quotient rule. We talked about the derivative of a constant being 0. So you would say it's low, which is x squared minus 5, d high, which is 0, minus high, d low, all over low quantity squared. For a final answer of that goes to 0, negative 6x over x squared minus 5 squared. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, number 4 gave you this graph. I did this on the Zoom again. We talked about a corner point. We talked about something specific, that it's not differentiable there, right? So at these sharp edges, this function is not differentiable. So they ask you which one of these is true. Well, that's not true. I told you specifically it's not. This guy is saying that the slope is between 0 and 1 everywhere. Well, you guys, this is f prime. The function lies between 0 and 1, but that's not the derivative. The derivative is the slope of the tangent line. The slope of that tangent line right there is not 1 or in between 0 and 1. So that doesn't make sense. Is this continuous everywhere? Even if you got confused on this one, you guys, what is continuous? Continuous is you never pick your pencil up. That's a simple definition I've said many times, right? I never pick my pencil up. So clearly that would be the answer. And if you got confused on the other ones, you know that that's true. And there's only one option, so I would circle C. Okay, again, on the Zoom, I did number 5. We talked about a table of values. It wants you to approximate the derivative here. Okay, how are we going to do that? We're going to use the 2 points that are surrounding it, right? We're going to flank it. And so then the derivative, f prime at 2, would be approximately y2, 3.207, minus 3.181 over x2 minus x1. Okay, and so if you type in 3.207 minus 3.181 all over 2.002 minus 1.998. You get a value of 6.5. Okay. All right, then we come down to number 6. Find the instantaneous rate of change. We talked about this vocab, that is translation. That's telling you to find y prime. Okay, so that's all we're supposed to do. So y prime would be the derivative of sine is cosine. Memorize, or you have your notes out. This is a product rule, you guys. That's x and e to the x, right? A large part of this chapter was the product rule and the quotient rule. So we took the derivative of this guy, but now this becomes plus the product rule. First times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. And plus the derivative of 6 is 0. So your final answer would just be cosine of x plus, I'm not sure what the multiple choice said, but you could take an e to the x out here and say that that's times x plus 1. Okay, no tricks. It's just recognizing that as the product rule. Okay, number 7, find the equation of a normal line. This was in the notes. We also did it in the Zoom. I did not do this with period 1 Zoom, so I do have a little bit of guilt over that, but I did check with people and it was in the notes, so it's still fair game. Okay, so normal line is just talking about the one that's perpendicular to the tangent line. Perpendicular to tangent line. This is going to be on the chapter 2 test. So if it ever says find the normal line, you need to first find the tangent line. Okay, so to find the tangent line, you need a point, 0, something, and you need f prime at that value. Okay, well, right here, if I plug in 0, I get 3 times 0 times e to the 0 plus 5. 0 times anything is 0, so I get 0, 5. I need to find f prime, which is a simple product rule here. So first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. Okay, and the derivative of 5 goes away. So f prime of 0 would be 3 times 0 times e to the 0 plus e to the 0 times 3. 3 times 0 is 0, and 0 times anything is 0. So I have 0. Plus, this is 1 times 3 is 3 for a final answer of 3. Okay, and so watch, my tangent line would be 5 plus my slope times x minus 0. And therefore, my normal line, all I have to do, because from Algebra 1, perpendicular slopes, all I have to do is flip that and switch the sign. So that becomes 5 minus 1/3 times x minus 0. Again, this is on the chapter 2 test. When it says normal line, you find the tangent line first, and then all you do is you switch the slope to the perpendicular slope. Okay, number 8, S of t is this, find the acceleration at time 0. So we simply do the power rule, 4t cubed minus 18t minus 2. And once again, because it's the second derivative, I get 12t squared minus 18. And plugging in 0, I get negative 18. Okay, so pretty straightforward there. All right, the last two here, you're given a function, find the derivative. Okay, so again, you guys, function of x, product rule, f prime equals first times the derivative of the second. The derivative of sine is cosine. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. So that's first times the derivative of the second plus the second, which is sine x plus cosine x, times the derivative of the first. The derivative of e to the x is just e to the x. Okay, so let's just distribute and see what we get. We get e to the x cosine of x minus e to the x sine x plus e to the x sine x plus e to the x cosine of x. Well, these guys cancel each other out. These are identical, so I have 2 of them. 2 e to the x cosine of x. Okay, product rule, you're good to go. Okay, find the equation of a tangent line. Okay, so definition, right? Tangent line means I need a point, 1 comma something, and I need the derivative at that value. Okay, lots of tangent line questions on the test. So this is a skill you have to have. How do I find this value here? Well, that's just a y value. And when x is 1, I have 1 plus 3 over 1 squared plus 2, which is 4 over 3. Okay, so I have 4 thirds. So now let's find the derivative. The derivative, okay, is equal to low, which is x squared plus 2, d high, which is 1, minus high, d low, which is 2x, all over low squared. Okay, so to review, tangent line, I need a point and a slope. I plugged in 1 to the original function because I'm looking for a y value, and I got 4 thirds. Now I'm taking the derivative of 2 functions of x, so this is low, d high, minus high, d low, all over low squared. And all I need is f prime at 1. So don't simplify, just go plug in. I get 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 1 plus 3 times 2 times 1, all over 1 squared plus 2 quantity squared. That's just 3. This is minus, that's 4 times 2, which is 8, all over the bottom, which would be 3 squared, or 9, for a final answer of negative 5 over 9. So now I have my slope. Okay. Tangent line, y sub t for tangent, is equal to the y value, 4 thirds, plus the slope, but the slope is negative, so minus 5/9 times x minus the x value of 1. Okay, multiple choice tests, a lot of times they'll change this form, right? Maybe the answers A, B, C, D, I don't remember on the quiz, didn't have fractions, so multiply everything by 9. Maybe they move the x's over. Those are all algebra techniques that you should have. This is the correct line. You just have to pick the correct version. Okay, so, you guys, if we were in class, right, we'd have to have an honest discussion about some of you who are, getting 1 or 2 of those correct. You're just, I mean, it's my belief you're not putting in the work. I know that we're distance learning. I know that this is challenging, but this is something, this is an AP college level calculus course. And, those are all legitimate questions and not overly difficult. Should you miss a couple? Of course, there's a couple on there. Maybe you make a little algebra error here or there, but there are definitely students getting, 80s, 90s, 100. And so for those of you that are struggling, I'm here for you, right? But I'm not going to just give you a grade, right? If you're struggling and you're frustrated and you want to retake it at this point, that's not an option, but you have until Friday to kind of to study and to reach out. Some of you that are not doing well, you're not emailing me, you're not asking for personal Zooms or getting extra help or even attending the Zooms. A lot of you are, I have records of who attends you guys. I can see who logs on and who doesn't. So I'm not trying to be harsh, but I think at some point, early on in a calculus class, it's important to remind you guys that this is a collegiate level class. And, what you guys do as far as time spent on the work will be reflected in your understanding of these types of questions. Okay. So I hope this helps. I'm going to put this in Edpuzzle. Feel free to watch it. I wanted to have record of this so you guys could use this to study for the Chapter 2 test. If you're not happy with your performance, you got to step it up. You've got 3 days. You can study. You're all clearly smart enough to do it because you're in AP Calculus. You just have to make the decision that it's a priority. Okay. I will see you guys soon on the next Zoom. Take care.